What's up, fam? I just got back from a pretty interesting day. Elevate rather, my gym, was invited to attend or be a vendor at a wellness fair for a local business, pretty big corporation. And it's just that time of year, we get invited to them all over the place. If I said yes to each one of them, I'd probably have a wellness fair to go to every week for the next 6 weeks. But I just pick my top favorites with companies that have more of our target market, a little more progressive, work culture and stuff like that. So anyhow, I go, I set up, and I take our InBody with us, which is our body composition analysis machine. Basically, it tests your body fat percentage, your amount of muscle mass. From that, we gather information that lets us know what your basal metabolic rate is. All these really great metrics. It shows us kind of segmentally where you have, and how much muscle mass you have in your arms, your legs, your trunk. So it's really eye-opening for a lot of people. And I say this because so many people still so heavily rely on the scale, and they don't understand what body composition is and why it's important to understand how much body fat you truly have, how much muscle mass you have. And I know that not everyone has access to something like the InBody or something like that, and they've only been taught to only pay attention to the weight on the scale or their BMI, which is another crappy metric. It's just height and weight. But it is so important to understand how much body fat you have. It's even more surprising for a lot of the smaller people that I end up testing that, they're not necessarily big, they don't look overweight by any means, but they're skinny fat. They have a lot of body fat. They don't have much muscle, and a lot of times these people may appear to be fit or somewhat fit, and some of them have 40% body fat, and it's very eye-opening for them, for me to be able to show them how little muscle they have, how much of their weight is coming directly from body fat, and they're still, a small person. They're basically obese without being big in size, and it's very surprising for these people. But even showing people these things that are, I only have literally a couple seconds with these people. There's just a big mass of people that get drawn through these wellness and health fairs. And some of the companies are better than others. They give these people some incentive to at least stop by and say hi. We have a bingo board. So if they came to our table, they got a stamp on our little place on the bingo board. And at least forces a little bit of engagement. Some people are there only for the stamp, but it's fine. I try to view these things as an opportunity to connect with a couple people, even if I can just tell them one small little nugget of information that will help them, at least spark some type of thought or idea that forces them to maybe look a little further into their health and what they can do for themselves, whether it's to change their eating habits or to get into resistance training and maybe, have a different perspective on what types of exercise and activity levels they have. But it's still amazing to me where I can, show them this subjective data, right? It tells them exactly how much body fat they have, how much muscle mass. And regardless of how accurate you think this is, whether it's 90%, 95%, whatever, you can't argue this stuff, okay? And so I'm explaining to people the correlation between the amount of body fat they have and their risk for certain diseases, heart disease, cardiovascular, insulin disorders, diabetes, all these things that have very sometimes fatal consequences and very life-altering consequences. I'll tell them this information and I'll give them a couple things as to start to work on to improve those biomarkers. And half these people are like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, what? I'm telling you, you're probably pretty close to being pre-diabetic, right? Your body fat levels are through the roof. They have belly fat that's hanging over their pants. The only activity these people get are literally walking from their bed to the couch to the car to their desk, and then back to their home once again. It's crazy to me how many people don't even walk at work. This campus that I was on was a pretty big campus, and so they have different buildings and they have access to things like golf carts, and people won't even take the time to just try to get in some steps at work walking building to building. They want to take the freaking golf cart. And I really struggle with trying to connect to people and not intimidating them, first off, because I'm standing at this wellness fair and I'm usually, not to brag, but the person that's in the best shape. I'm a big bitch. I'm a very big person, and I'm pretty intimidating to most people when they're coming in for their lunch and they're kind of feeling insecure about what they're eating. First of all, I'm not judging anyone. I don't care what you eat unless you have a conversation with me and you're asking me. Sure, I'll share some information with you, but I'm not picking people apart as they're eating their food. It's none of my business. But, I'm standing there. I'm 5'10", $165. I have muscle on me. I have a tank top on, and unless I'm smiling the entire time, I have like bad resting bitch face. So I can't just be standing there with my arms crossed. I have to be smiling the whole time, which I enjoy. I like people and I'm a happy person, so I'm always in a good mood and smiling usually, but I have to make an extra effort to make sure that I'm smiling and I look happy, because I scare the shit out of people, and these people literally like will make eye contact with me and look away and like walk way around my table. But I struggle with being very honest and stern with people, and because I only have like a second to capture them. So it's like, do I take like the very slow, loving approach? And I try to tell people that it doesn't have to be this like radical change. They need to like completely clean out their pantry and start exercising 5 days a week. That amount of change for a lot of people would just be too much and too stressful. So I try to give them small things like, okay, let's replace the 5 cans of soda that you drink every day with water. Let's start there. Let's start by, going for a 20-minute walk a day versus jumping into a very challenging program like CrossFit, right? Progression, baby steps, momentum, positive momentum. And even at that, like some people aren't interested in taking ownership of their shit and taking responsibility for where they are in their bodies and what they're experiencing, and they're the first to go to the friggin' insurance table and to figure out what their rates are and go to the, get their little Sunday through Monday pill pack dispenser, and, the lady that's 3 tables down from me selling the fucking detox 5-day shake thing, and she's wearing a lab coat, so she looks extra official, even though she's not a medical professional by any measure. She just sells stupid shakes. People will rush to those tables like no other, but I'm sitting there freely testing people's body composition, giving them very valuable information, and people don't want to hear the truth. We're offering free testing all day long. People are like, no, I don't want to know. I'm like, why not? Why don't you want to face the truth, get a baseline, and let's figure out where to go from there? What small steps can we take to try to change these things? And some people just have no interest in taking ownership of anything in their lives, and it's very frustrating, and I try not to waste my energy on these people. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I just have to say my piece, and whether it's like a very harsh approach, just like black and white, like you need to, really think twice about what you're doing with your life and kind of scare them into the harsh reality that is their life and that is their future, or do I take like the soft approach and just like really try to connect with them on a very like surface level? It's just a big struggle of mine, and I try not to put too much energy into people who have no interest in wanting to do the things they need to do, or no interest in actually changing anything. But it's just so sad to me where I see people walking around, and like walking looks painful. Like people just walking down the street, it looks like painful for these people. Like they're having a hard time just being a human and existing. How could you not want some type of improvement? How could you not want to change? But a lot of these people, I try to just give them a small thing, like what I mentioned earlier, going from soda to water. And this one lady, I was talking to her, she's like, water and I just don't mix. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's literally what your body is made of. Of course it mixes. Like, if you don't have water, you'll die. You can go without food for a long time. If you go without water, you're in big trouble. And, we got to talking, and instead of just saying to her, well, you have to drink half your, at least half your body weight in ounces of water, I knew that was going to be a big step for her because she hates water. She just drinks coffee and energy drinks all day. So I'm like, look, let's not worry about perfect. Let's not worry about ideal intake or what's optimal. Let's just be honest with where you are right now and take a small step towards getting to optimal, right? So let's, for the next week, I didn't even know who this woman was. I know she wasn't going to sign up for my program, but I just wanted her to take away something. And so for her, I said, don't worry about anything else right now. How about for the next week, your challenge is when you wake up in the morning, you drink a glass of water. And for her, that's going to be a very radical change. I said, okay, then when you get good at that over the next week, then maybe at lunchtime, you force yourself to have another glass of water at lunchtime, and that'll be progressive. And for her, it's different than what she's doing. There'll be some absolute benefit there. It's still a little bit of a challenge, but it's not so big of a challenge to where it's not doable for her. It's not practical for her to do, right? It's totally practical for this woman to wake up and have a glass of water in the morning. And from that, she'll gain positive momentum and hopefully see the benefit in starting to make changes, and she'll feel empowered. She'll feel better about herself. She'll feel more secure and confident in herself, be able to make those harder decisions and take on the harder challenges, like, diving more into her eating habits and stuff like that. But making changes doesn't have to be drastic and huge and monumental. You can do small little things one at a time that will eventually lead to a big change, that will collectively over time lead to, a complete shift in your mindset, behavior, habits, and stuff like that. So I don't know where I was going with this, but sometimes when I do these health fairs, I tell myself, I'm never doing this again, because it's very frustrating for me. It can be a very draining day because I do put so much energy into trying to just educate and connect with people and just really show them that they are 100% in control of their bodies. And I think a lot of people, change scares the hell out of them because we're all comfortable doing the same things. But, they think that they're just so far gone and it's too late, and, it's just they'll never be able to, get to my level. They look at me and think, oh, well, I'm nowhere near you. What's the point? Fuck it. I'm just all going to let it go downhill. And it doesn't have to be that way. You're never too old to start. You're never too far gone to start to make positive changes, right? You don't have to go from 0 to 10. You can start really, really small. So I know as a fitness professional, I have a lot of information and I know a lot about the body and what it takes to get to people's optimal health levels and stuff like that. But what I can do may not be practical for someone that I meet at a health fair. So I have to understand where they are in their life, where their mindset is, and try to give them little small things to gain momentum off of and to try to build from there. But I always struggle with things like this because I care so much, and I want people to understand that they're totally in control. They really are. A lot of these people feel like they have no control over their bodies, what they do, their habits, and they really do. They just need to get in the right mindset that they're completely 100% in control. And they do have the power to take their health, their body back, and be able to function again without pain, and be able to play with their kids and go outside and feel good about themselves and live a long, healthy, functional life. But it's sad. Some people already decided that health is just not in their cards, that being active is just not for them, and it's just not the truth.